So we're going to complete the square to put this in standard form. I'm going to show two methods to do that because there's the WebAssign Watch It videos, which is one method, and then there's the method that are on the long lecture videos that I posted on D12. So you can look at whichever method you've learned already and ignore the other method. You only need one method. We're trying to get the equation into the form y equals a times x minus h squared minus k, because that way you'll be able to easily see the vertex. The vertex will be at hk because the h will be the shift right or left, and the k will be the shift up or down. So the h, you notice, has the opposite sign because of this minus sign. When you write the h down, you get the opposite sign from whatever sign is in here. Okay, we'll look at that in a bit. So let's go ahead and use method A. Method A, we factor the 3 off of the first two terms. So that is a negative 6x, and we leave a little space because we're going to fill in our number to complete the square. Now you know from completing the square that what you do is you take 1/2 times this negative 6, and you square that. So that would be a negative 3 being squared, or a 9. So we're going to add a 9 into the trinomial here. But you didn't really add 9, did you? Because what you added was 3 times 9, which is 27. So if you were to multiply this all out again, when you distribute it, you get 3x squared minus 18x plus 27. So we're going to undo adding 27 by subtracting 27 off to the right over here. So now if you were to multiply this all out, you'd have plus 3x squared, negative 18x, plus 27, and then you'd have the 15 that was there before, and the minus 27 to undo adding the 27 in. So this is the opposite. You undo adding the 27 over there. Well, let's go ahead and continue then. So this factors as 3 times x minus 3 times x minus 3 minus 12 from 15 minus 27. So that's y equals 3 times x minus 3 squared minus 12. So this is a parabola that's been shifted right 3 units and down 12 units. So when you have x minus a number, that's a shift to the right. And then when you're all done calculating the squaring process and you shift down, that's from subtracting 12. Let's go ahead and look at method B now. So if you're fine with method A, just ignore method B. Method B is to just complete the square like we did in the earlier section. So when you complete the square, you don't want this 3 there. So we'll go ahead and get the 3 out. We divide both sides of the equation by 3. And the y is just kind of hanging around. In the earlier section when we did this, the y wasn't there. You just had a 0 there. Well, this time we have a y there. That's okay. Also, when we complete the square, you just want the x squared and the negative 6x. You don't want that 5 there. So we'll move the 5 to the other side by subtracting 5 from both sides of the equation. So we'll have negative 5 plus y over 3 equals x squared minus 6x. The completing the square step is the same for both processes. So we'll take the negative 6 times a half and square that result. You just kind of have to memorize that step. So negative 3 squared. Negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. So we add 9 to both sides of the equation. And here you're adding to both sides of the equation so that you keep both sides equal. So we're always doing the same thing to both sides of the equation on this method. So negative 9 plus 5, that will be 4. 4 plus y divided by 3. And on the right-hand side, we can factor x minus 3 times x minus 3. Here, we stop completing the square. Stop completing the square. and instead isolate the y. Okay, so we did what we needed to do. We have the x minus 3 squared. That's what we had to do. So we have x minus 3 squared. That's the completing the square process. Now it's time to get y by itself. So subtract 4 from both sides of the equation. So x minus 3 squared, and you have a negative 4 here. And then multiply both sides of the equation times 3 to get the 3 out from under the y. So y equals 3 times x minus 3 squared minus 12. So the 3 is distributing. You have the 3 times the x minus 3 squared and the 3 times the negative 4. Do not distribute the 3 through the parentheses. Your order of operations says that this exponent has to happen before you can distribute any 3. So whichever way you do this, you get the same answer. Y equals 3 times x minus 3 squared minus 12.